Re-Zero, Side Story, Pristella Reconstruction Journal No. 1, Chapter 1.
Otto, so, is the rebuilding of the collapsed city hall urgent? Yes, I think so. Of course, this is only after the food, clothing, and shelter of the residents are in order, but it is not good for public image if the heart of the city remains in ruins forever. One thing that cannot be ignored is the anxiety of people's minds. Just having one big pillar makes a big difference. Otto, so is that how it is? That's the way it is, and with a meek smile, Otto Suwin shrugs his shoulders. It's Kiritaka Muse who responds to Otto with, I see. Currently, Kiritaka is the head representative of the Watergate city. The young man, who has taken the position of the mayor of the city, repeatedly responded to Otto. Kiritaka, thank you for your help. Originally, I was the youngest member of the Council of 10, so I was unfamiliar with this kind of thing and couldn't handle it. I'm hurrying to choose the next candidates, but, Otto, it's going to be difficult, considering that the other day the Council of 10 were targeted. Kiritaka, you're right. As Kiritaka bows his head with a worried expression, Otto looks out the window in the distance. The sky was lush and painfully clear. Under the clear, cloudless sky, the reconstruction work of the destroyed city continues, and in the past few days, aid from other regions has finally started to arrive. Thanks to this, they have been able to avoid having to worry about food and other basic necessities. Otto, I guess it's a blessing in disguise. The time was right, to a certain extent. Kiritaka, if this had been the fire season or the ice season, the damage would have been much worse. I don't think the reconstruction work would have gone smoothly. That's why we have to move quickly. Otto, I agree. Even if the current season is good, over time the seasons will change. This advantage must be used effectively to prepare for when the weather actually becomes harsh. Otto, the current situation must be difficult, though. I'm grateful for all the support. Kiritaka, there is no shortage of people who would like to take this opportunity to take advantage of the 5 major cities. I'll keep that in mind. You warned me about this. After saying that, Kiritaka gave a deep breath to express his determination and then stood up. The young man, who carried the fate of the city on his shoulders, held out his hand toward Otto. In response to his request for a handshake, Otto shook the other man's hand back. Otto, I'm sorry to say this, but I wish you the best of luck, Kiritaka-san. Kiritaka, thank you. I'm glad I was able to help you with your consultation. Besides, I'm sorry to have made such a request. Otto, it's okay. Please come again. After all, with my legs like this. Laughing, Otto pointed to his own legs, which were wrapped tightly in bandages and strung above the bunk. Seeing this, Kiritaka gave a wry smile and, Kiritaka, from what I heard, your wounds reopened up from moving too much. Please take care of yourself, Otto. It would be nice to have something to do here that would let me do that, Otto replied, half in dismay and half in concern, as he maligned himself.
Chapter 2.
And so, as the visiting Kiritaka left the hospital room, Otto, why don't you come on in, Garfield? Otto called out from his bunk towards the door that had been closed by Kiritaka after he left the room. Hearing Otto's call, the door slowly opened. Not the door of the room, but the window. Garfield, not over there. This way, Otto bro. Otto, what? The window is not the entrance. Why are you coming in that way, Garfield? That's because you can hear what's going on in the room better through the window than through the door. As he said this, Garfield grabbed the window frame and slid lightly into the room. For a moment, Otto's eyebrows furrowed, and he was about to complain about the look of his feet. Garfield, don't worry. Took off my shoes before climbing the wall. Otto, that's not what I'm worried about. And eavesdropping on people's conversations, too. Garfield, sorry. Got to do my duty as the camp's military officer, you know. Garfield dropped the shoes he had tucked under his arm and replied while putting them back on. The reason why Otto made a bitter face at his reply was because his excuse was the orders of none other than Otto's. Garfield and Otto, who hadn't been good to each other in the battle for the Watergate city, vowed to become stronger and more useful. Garfield as a military officer and Otto as an internal affairs officer, for the benefit of everyone in the camp. Garfield, that's why I got to keep an eye on Otto bro's social life. Otto, if we start to spy on the private relationships of the members of the camp, it will give us a sense of the end of the organization. Doesn't it? Wasn't there some story about that? Garfield, Magriza's guillotine was a story like that. Magriza's guillotine, one of the most famous stories passed down from generation to generation, is the story of royalty vying for power. In that work, there was a development in which the father king, who had grown old and suspicious, began to control the actions of his family and entourage, and was finally forced to leave his throne. Garfield, but it won't be like that. My amazing self is not doubting you, but believing you. Otto, I think that's also the logic of the so-called Mad King. Garfield, my amazing self's just worried about you. Suddenly, Otto fell silent as Garfield lowered his voice like that. Narrowing his green eyes, Garfield stared at Otto sincerely. Then, Garfield's hand gently reached out to Otto's suspended leg. Garfield, the day after making such a huge decision, my brother forced himself to open his wounds. I'm sure my brother is not too happy about it. Otto, da. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Wait, Garfield, lately, been wondering if Otto bro likes pain as much as the captain does. Please be more careful, Otto. Your fingers in the wound. It's stuck inside. It hurts. It hurts. Garfield was talking seriously, but it didn't enter Otto's writhing head. However, his younger brother's anger was justified, so he would have to accept the pain. A somewhat deadpan Otto, his attitude caused Garfield to exhale long and hard. Garfield, after all, Otto bro likes to feel pain. Otto, after all the pain you've caused me, I refuse to accept your assessment. Garfield, isn't that what they call a hot night in Mary Grey? Otto, such is the list of people who are famous for dying because of their peculiar proclivities. It was the end of a nobleman who died in his private chambers at night due to a rather sinister hobby. For many years, the cause of his death was unknown, but it seems that the owner of a divine protection that allows one to see the memories of objects revealed the truth. Afterwards, the owner of the blessing was said to have fallen into a life on the run due to the resentment of the man's family who were ashamed of his dishonorable behavior. Strangely enough, this is a story that Otto can relate to, but it was indeed unwelcome to be mentioned alongside that nobleman. Otto's disapproval was brushed aside by Garfield with a curt, all right. And then, Otto, so? What was your true motive for eavesdropping? Garfield, no, just thought it would be a bad idea to interrupt. Otto, Garfield, that's the truth. I'm depending on Otto bro. It's not right for me to interfere. Crossing his strong arms, Garfield spoke with a serious face. This was unmistakably Garfield's true intentions. For the past few days, Garfield has also been going around and lending his support to the reconstruction of the city. However, the most Garfield could do was physical work. He has to carry piles of rubble out of the way, or carry safety equipment into broken buildings. As Garfield labored, he realized how long the road to rebuilding the city was. Garfield, my amazing self is strong, but I can only do the things that I can only do. Even if you work 10 times as hard as a normal person, in the end it is only 10 people. However, the number of people Otto, Kiritaka, and the others that are involved with the reconstruction of the city is not enough for 10 or even 100 people's worth of work. Garfield felt uncomfortable interrupting that with his concern for Otto. Garfield, besides, if we don't let Otto bro do his job, he'll do something stupid like make a fool of himself. Otto, isn't that also misleading? Responding with a shrill scream, Otto then let out a deep breath. The reason for Garfield's concern made sense to Otto. It reminded him of the decision he had made the other day when Garfield and Otto had talked and vowed to each other. Garfield had promised himself to be strong, he was determined to be strongest. However, this is probably a sign that he is struggling to find strength in his own way, something other than just his physical strength. Otto, Garfield, why don't you ask Frederica-san and Yuzu-san to join us? Garfield, Otto, of course, I won't force you to. At Otto's suggestion, Garfield's eyes widened. Seeing his reaction, which was all surprise. Otto loosened his lips at his brother's ease of understanding. The true meaning of Otto's current proposal stems from a change that occurred in Garfield's mind a while ago. Garfield didn't say much, but this made Otto sensitive to the subtleties of other people's emotions. Otto knew exactly what Garfield was going through. Garfield, Otto bro, why, Otto, did you notice that? I'm the kind of merchant who needs to be quick on the uptake. I'm always watching my surroundings, even more so when it comes to my younger brother, Garfield. Seriously, Otto, it felt like it would be cool to say that. In front of the flustered Garfield, Otto scratched his head and smiled. When Garfield raised his eyebrows in suspicion, Otto said, "No, Otto, actually, this morning I had a visitor who came to visit me. They were very polite and took good care of me." Garfield, a visitor for Otto bro? Who the hell is this curious fellow? Otto, I'd like to complain about the tendency that only people who want things will visit me, but the woman who visited me came with her children, including a lovely sister and brother. After a few moments of silence, Garfield looked at Otto. Looking at Otto's face, Garfield was silent for a while. Garfield, I should have never talked about what happened in the hospital room. Otto, I heard that her husband worked at the city hall, and he told her about you and me through Kiritaka-san. She was very easy to talk to. Garfield, Otto bro. Otto, I didn't say anything unnecessary. That's not my role. With a shrug of his shoulders, Otto made a promise, at least verbally, that he would not go overboard. In response, Garfield coughed. Roll, huh? Garfield, that scrawny city mayor is counting on Otto bro, right? What about Otto bro? Maybe he's going to join the 10. Otto, my goal is still the same, to be a merchant and own my own store. If one detour is enough for that. Even if someone else thinks I'm better suited for it. Garfield, I guess that's right. Garfield patted his chest in relief, and Otto was pleasantly surprised by his honest reaction. It is true that the road may have many branches. The place where we are now must have been chosen by Otto from the countless forks in the road. Otto, if I had 2 lives, it might not be a bad idea to live the life someone else wants, but I only have 1 life. I'll do it without any regrets on my part. Garfield, I have regrets, don't you? Otto, yes, I do. Garfield, what are yours? There was no real subject of the question, but the truth of it pierced Garfield painfully. Garfield knew what Otto was talking about. There are things that are lost by putting them off. If you look up at the sky, you will see a clear sky. But where is the certainty that the sun will rise again tomorrow? People believe like a monk without reason that they will see the sun again tomorrow. That unconscious indulgence leads to decisions that postpone the situation. So, Otto, yeah, I know. I've already written it down and sent it to them. Garfield, you sent it? As in a letter? Otto, it's not something I'm going to talk about in a letter, so I just wrote and sent a note asking them to come. Otto looked lightly into Garfield's eyes as he assured him. Otto did not know everything about the troubles surrounding Garfield. Even so, just from what he could see, he could tell that it was a decision made after much anguish. Just before, Otto had suggested it as a way to show that he had a choice. But Garfield was willing to jump over even that, to jump on the problem himself. Otto, speaking of Natsuki-san, I think he's the best cutthroat captain of the camp. Garfield, you're right. Otto bro, you're the one who reminds me of the captain. Otto, that's not very nice. When Garfield gave him the thumbs up, Otto fell back on his bunk. They have been talking a lot and using their brains a lot. Maybe Otto was getting a little tired. Otto, I feel like I'm fading. Like, I've been talking to people for a while. Garfield, you're not in top form, so it's only natural that you should be. Go to bed, sleep. You don't have enough blood, so sleep and make some. Otto replies pathetically as his head is pushed forcefully into the pillow. Hearing this, Garfield decided not to stay much longer, and looked out the window. Otto, Garfield, make sure you walk out the door when you leave. Garfield, it's a shortcut, okay? Otto, if you want to be strong, in other words, you want to change. The first step is to do what you can. Start with what you can do. It sounded like a sermon, and Garfield scratched his head and had no choice but to follow it. And when he reached the entrance to the hospital room, Otto, Garfield. Great, I think it's a great decision. When he said that, Garfield stopped in his tracks. He stopped, but didn't look back. He just waved over his back and walked away, closing the door roughly behind him. Laughing at his clumsy embarrassment, Otto crawled under the covers and closed his eyes. A drowsiness soon set in, and the busy internal affairs officer's consciousness drifted off into a dream.